What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've actually done kind of like a talking video. Recently actually started uploading again. Obviously you guys have probably seen that, but we're back with a bike that hasn't officially been introduced to the channel, but has been on the channel quite a bit lately, and that is my newish to me 2008 Honda CBR1000RR. Fans of the channel may know way back when I've done other leader bikes. I had a ZX10R, I had an H2SX, you know, the touring version of the H2. But I also had a 2010 Honda CBR1000RR. And unfortunately that bike met a untimely demise. I had it for about 3 weeks and then it got totaled. And the reason for that was these babies right here. No, not Bridgestone S22s. The 2010 had old tires on it, about 8 years old as a matter of fact, and I didn't change them out before going for a ride, and it was winter, so combined hard tires and cold ground, and well, we high-sided, pulling out of a parking lot. But yeah, so that bike got totaled, and then this deal came along. Probably about 45 minutes from where I live. 2008 with 12,000 miles for $5,000. So it obviously needed a little bit of work, but the vast majority of the work is done. We'll get into what all needed to be done and what still remains to be done. Let's start out with just some of the general overview. Like I said, it's a 2008, it's got 12,000 miles on it, and it definitely needed a little bit of work. When I got this bike, obviously you can tell it has chrome rims and a chrome swing arm. The bike is absolutely filthy. I haven't washed it. It needs to be washed. But at some point, and the seller did not disclose this to me, but it's kind of apparent that at some point the bike was down. There's scratches on the frame, here, both bar ends are missing. There's a frame slider on this side and none on the other side. And then there's also scratching on the frame here, and a little bit under this fairing, as well as missing fairing bolts here. The whole front end is actually broken, and I know it's kind of hard to tell, but this front end fairing here, this intake, is broken. And there's a fairing bolt here, but it goes to nothing. The bracket behind it is broken. So this bike has had a little bit of a rough life, but again, 2008 with 12,000 miles, not a lot of miles for this year. So some of the work that needed to be done when I got the bike. Originally, the previous owner had this bike wired up for LED lighting. Unfortunately, I don't know who wired it, if he did or if a shop did, but the wiring was atrocious. There was 100 feet of wiring around this bike, all tucked into every crevice it could be, and there were about 10 different leads going to the battery. So no wonder this thing wouldn't start. When I got it, we had to bump start it. The battery was dead. Probably just a lot of parasitic loss from all the different wiring going everywhere. So it had LED lighting that has since been removed, thank goodness. It had a Power Commander 3, again 2008, Power Commander 3 in it. Went ahead and removed that. It obviously needed fluids done, so you know, it needed a brake bleed, which you can tell, clear fluid now. Front brakes are still kind of iffy, so I'm going to bleed them again, but it needed fluids done, oil change. Coolant I topped off, seems to be going just fine. Bike doesn't overheat or anything. Front forks needed to be rebuilt because this one was leaking. It now is good. Tires obviously needed to be replaced because there were 10-year-old Shinkos on it. Shinkos, guys, by the way, Shinkos are great in the sense of they are the cheapest tire you can buy. They're not great in any other sense. Don't buy Shinkos. Buy something reputable. Michelin, Bridgestone, you know, whatever. Buy something good. I went ahead, put aftermarket levers on it. I didn't need to, but I replaced the clutch cable because CBRs are known for breaking clutch cables. So went ahead, replaced the clutch cable, brand new one on there. Replace the levers as well, just because aesthetics, they kind of match, you know, red, black. I went ahead, got the ECU flash by More Mafia. That's why in all the videos you'll hear what sounds like popcorn when I let off the throttle, and that's because this thing has one of the best pops and bangs tunes I've ever gotten from More Mafia. Absolutely awesome. The seat bolts were stripped out, so we got some new seat bolts. Honda Parts Warehouse, $30 for 2 bolts because shipping. We obviously threw some tank grips on here. The bike was already lowered in the front and assumably lowered in the rear, kind of hard to tell. And I think that is about all of the work that has been done on the bike. I'm thinking about putting LED headlights in as well, but right now we're still rocking the originals, so we get a single headlight unless we turn on the brights, and then we got both. We obviously do have our mirrors with turn signals integrated. Might do a mirror delete, haven't decided yet, but we have no tail tidy or tail at all. The previous owner just literally yanked it out, which is why there's a massive gaping hole here underneath this tape, and you can see some of this plastic is seen better days. That's because it literally just got ripped right off, and so as an interim fix we just have duct tape over the hole so water doesn't get in and affect the electronics for the brake light. But it's a 2008. It's not extremely powerful. It's still a liter bike, guys. It's way too powerful for anything. You know, we're probably looking at 178 bhp, I believe. Not sure on the torque spec, but I've had this thing up to about 160 so far. It'll obviously do a little bit more than that, but we're slowly building up to it. It is rocking a 200 rear tire instead of a 190. The reason for that, the previous owner, again, aftermarket wheels, he had a 200 on it, so I went ahead and stayed with the 200. So on this Bridgestone Battle Axe S22, you can see we're rocking a 200 55 R17. Yes, we got a bit of chicken strip. We have not leaned this thing nearly as far as we can, but we will be soon. There's a few things that you may not think of when you think 2008. Mainly electronics. This bike has none of them. It has an ECU, and it has a tach and an LCD dash, which you can see right here. We don't have a gear indicator or anything else. We get clock, we get speedo, and we get mileage, and that's about it. Everything else is a tach. So electronics, none. No ABS, no wheelie control, no traction control, no lean sensitive ABS, no 6-axis IMU, no none of that. This bike is the rider and their wrist and the road. So it is extremely fun because you can basically do whatever you want on the bike, but you also have to be extremely careful. So far we haven't had any close calls, but knock on wood, you know, it may happen. A few quirks I found about this bike. I've had the tank up to get to the ECU, which is on top of the airbox. However, the other day when I had the fairings off, when I had the tank up, I didn't replace the air filter. However, the other day when I had the fairings off to replace the clutch cable, I found out that there was what looked like melted candy all in the air intake. You can see we have 2 air intakes here. They go around, and then this leads into the airbox. So air intake here, air intake here. Those both lead into the airbox. I had this one off. The air intake was full of what looked like melted candy, some sort of, I don't know what it was. So I vacuumed all of that out. I haven't had this one off to see if it's also in this side, but I'm probably just going to go ahead and buy a new air filter and throw that in there. Probably get me another horsepower too, just because this bike has been through a lot. Oh yeah, and another mod another fix that the bike needed. I went ahead and replaced both front and rear sprockets and got an X-ring chain for this thing. So we're definitely good chain wise and sprocket wise right now. The shift rod does look a little bent from this angle. I'm not sure if that is stock configuration or if I should probably order a new shift rod, but right now we're just winging it and we're going with it. We have no quick shifter, no up, no auto blip down. We have clutch and we have shift lever. And then as far as the bike goes, I mean, that's about it. The bike is nothing special, but she is extremely special. Again, a 2008 for $5,000 worth. It'll still be anything on the road, as you can tell by my video of me racing the C7 Z06. This thing absolutely dusted it. That was when the fork seals were still blown out, so the front end was extremely wobbly. And now that the fork seals are done and I've gotten a little more used to this thing, I definitely guarantee I could take most cars on the road unless they're pushing 1,000 horsepower or more. Other than getting a bath, this thing is probably going to sit in the stable for a little bit. You'll see it on the channel more often, obviously. But I have wanted two bikes. I've wanted a throw-around leader bike, you know, an older, just can do whatever with leader bike. Here we go, 2008 CBR. And I want a newer, nicer, showroom-esque leader bike, you know, Ducati, BMW, maybe a Gixxer Thal. I haven't decided yet, but we're going to be doing some trading to try and get to one of those, and there will be a video on that shortly. There's another bike that you guys haven't seen on the channel yet that will soon potentially be traded for something else. With that being said, guys, I appreciate you stopping by and checking out this video. This has been Moto Shorts and my new to me 2008 CBR 1000RR. I'll catch you in the next video.